What's going on YouTube? Welcome in, I am LuboATM. As always, happy Wednesday, which means it is in fact Shrine Day. So welcome to another Shrine of Secrets discussion here on the channel. For those of you who haven't tuned in before, this is where I talk through all of the perks on the Shrine for this week, tell you what they do, what they pair well with or don't pair well with, and let you know if they are worth your hard-earned shards. It's actually a pretty decent Shrine this week, so we'll kick off the discussion with our top perk here, which is a clown teachable, which is Bamboozle. I wonder why this is here. I'm assuming it's to do with the new part of the tome, which will be released today. So your vault speed is 5% faster. Performing an action calls upon the entity to block the vault for 8 seconds. Only one vault location may be blocked at any time. So obviously the time increases per tier. But this is a really good perk in terms of the advantage it gets you, because obviously the strongest thing that survivors have going for them if they're playing the game in a fun way, or in the kind of way it's intended, is strong loops. So for example, if you take example of like Killer Shack, you can the optimum way to do that is to run and use the window as many times before you need to drop Shack pallet. You can remove that resource from them within first vault, which will either can get you a hit or a down or get Shack pallet out of the game, and you can do it multiple places across incredibly strong loops. My favourite one to use it on is if people don't realise the Room of Death on Dead Dog Saloon. As you come up the stairs at the back of the saloon, there's a window you drop in to a room that's just filled with breakable doors, so if you follow them in there, they're bamboozled in for like 14 seconds. It's always a funny one if you can pull that one off. But I like Bamboozle. It's not fun to go against by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a fun perk. The beauty of Bamboozle as well is you don't need to combo it with anything. It's not like it's like an enduring spirit fury type thing where like you get much more value out of one when you run the other. It's a standalone one. You can run it on its own and you'll get just about as much value out of it as you would if you were to slap it in a build to take away survivor resources. So like if you had that, Nemesis, things like that, which just kind of takes survivor resource away, you can do a fun build like that, or you can just run it its own and it's just as effective. I really do like Bamboozle. Blood Pact. So after completing a healing action on the obsession or having the obsession complete a healing action on you, you both gain X% haste effect until no longer within 16 meters of each other. This perk's garbage. It really is. There's no, like, there's like one situation where it would be useful, and it only is really useful if you're on comms with the person you're playing with. So like if you're healing someone in clutch and the killer's coming over and you can just pull off a heal, only if they're in the possession right enough, you can both kind of speed away with like the extra 5% sprint speed or the movement speed, as long as you stay like touch tight to each other. It's pretty much useless in solo queue. It's pretty much useless if even if you're playing with friends and the person that you're not playing with isn't the upset. It's just so the issue with a lot of the later perks with the later characters in Dead by Daylight for Killer and Survivor, there's just too many conditions to make it good. You know what I mean? To me, you could remove the obsession part from this. You could remove the obsession criteria and then put like a massive cooldown on it, and you would get so much more value out of it, and people would use it more. Because if you were just to heal anyone and then you get a 5% haste increase, so you could heal someone and then you both get a 5% haste increase until you can reach a generator or something. You know what I mean? Like that's my way of thinking of it. It's just too specific and too situational specific to get any real use out of in live, and I just think it's a little bit garbage, to be honest. Next one is a Jake teachable, which is Cam Spirit. So basically reduces the chance of alerting woodland creatures by, says up to 80%, goes up to 100. Basically allows you to overcome your urge to scream. So this is an incredibly good perk going up against a doctor or anyone running infectious fright or a clown. Any killer that makes you scream using their power, you can pretty much negate that. So specifically with a doctor, if you're hiding close by, if someone's just been hooked and they do their static blast, you're not going to alert the killer that you're there. Another one that goes really underrated in this, and it's some, like, as killer, it's something I do, is like people track people by crow movement. So if I've not been to an area on a map in a while and I see a crow landing or a crow coming back to land, I know like right, someone's been there, so I'll go check over there. This perk obviously means you do not disturb the crows at all. So like you can sprint around the map, you don't alert the crows, and it takes away a tracking tool from the killer. Um, I think it's a really really good perk. It's very very underused. Like a lot of people will just like it's hard to make an argument for it when like it's very good in those situations against those killers, and it takes that tracking thing away. So, but it's very difficult to argue that you wouldn't just be better off using Iron Will, because that will have more effect in more games than Cam Spirit will. But Cam Spirit is an incredibly good perk. You can pair it with loads of different things as Survivor. Like you could pair it with Iron Will, Lucky Break. Basically anything that kind of takes stuff away from the killer. Dance with Me is another one. Sorry, just thinking on the fly there. And anything that takes away killers tracking, you could pair it with any one of those perks just to give you an extra advantage. Running it on its own, you probably could do, but you're probably not going to get as much value out of it as if you pair it with other things that help you kind of be immersed or stealth or something like that. And the final perk on the shrine this week is Tinkerer. For those of you who watched my discussion video a couple of weeks ago, I obviously put Tinkerer in one of the most overrated killer perks. That doesn't mean I don't think that it's a good perk. I think it is. Once the generators hit 70% repair progress, it triggers a loud noise for you as killer, and you become undetectable for, I think it goes up to 16 seconds at tier 3. So basically, it's a very good pressure applying perk, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think through my head if that made sense. But yeah, so like it's a good pressure applying perk because it basically means that you're going to get a notification that someone's almost finished a gen, and if you're not doing something of value at that point, like if you're not engaging a chase or about to get down or whatever, you can peel off from what you're doing, go to that gen, and especially if you're pairing it with things like Tinker or with Ruin, or Pop, or any of the perks give you benefit from obviously kicking or interacting with a gen, you can then start that regression progress back, which will then give you a chance to get a second Tinkerer on the same gen sort of idea. Also, you get the undetectable status effect. So for the first maybe one or two times that it goes off, you can probably pull off some stealth moves if you approach it in a kind of correct way. But as I said in my overrated perks video, like you can only pull that off maybe one or two times throughout the match. As soon as people know you're running Tinkerer, they're extra vigilant when they hit that marker. As a survivor, you know you'll hit the 70% when the fourth piston starts moving. So as soon as if you know they're running Tinker and you see that piston start moving, you then just start looking around extra more vigilantly because you know a killer could be appearing at any point. As I said, you can basically combo that with any gen based perk for killer. The common one that you see a lot at the moment, which seems to be the running meta, is Ruin, Undying, Tinkerer. You could also do Pop, Eruption, Dragon's Grip, Overcharge, Oppression, anything like that, where you pressuring people off gens and then starting that regression activity. Any one of them you can get value from pairing it with Tinker, because you're obviously got most times if it's just someone one man in it, you can make it to that gen before it's popped with the 16 seconds undetectable time, so you can usually always make it unless they're doubling up maybe, in which case you'll be getting there just as it finishes, but still you then get two people to put pressure on. So it is a good perk. I just don't think it belongs in like the S or the A tier as commonly as it does. I think it's got enough counterplays where people are aware how to play around Tinkerer for it to be an S or an A tier perk, but still a good perk. So that's this week's Shrine, guys. Thank you very much again for tuning in. As always, I'll do my recommendation. So it's a pretty easy one for Survivor by Cam Spirit if you're going to get a Survivor perk. Killer one's a little bit tricky. It depends on how you play and what killers you plan on playing on. Bamboozle is incredibly good on specific killers. Like I think you get a lot more use out of Bamboozle on insta-down killers. So you like your Bubbas, your Billies and stuff like that, because the thing that stops you getting your insta-downs is people getting vaults and making distance. So if you can take that window away from them as like a Bubba, then you're more than likely going to get a chainsaw hit down. Tinkerer again can pretty much be used with anybody. but you would need to pair it with something else. Having Tinkerer on its own probably isn't going to be much use. So I think there could be an argument for both. I think it just depends on your playstyle. If it was me personally, I'd probably go for Tinkerer because it's maybe more useful in more situations, but I would seriously give some consideration to getting Bamboozle. But yeah, that's that. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me for another Wednesday Shrine of Secrets discussion. I will be back, obviously, next week with more Shrine stuff. I've been recording YouTube content like crazy the last couple of days to make sure I've got plenty of content for you guys. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come see me on Twitch a couple of times at twitch.tv/LiboATM. And until I see you guys next time, peace.